Verticality. We're going to work with natural movement again, and we're going to blend the receiving of sensation with a little movement. So we'll be working in this position, hands on the wall, and we're going to use the contact of the wall to help facilitate the life in the thoracic, which is the middle back, and particularly help to coordinate the movement of the shoulder blade. So here's my other hand on my shoulder blade, and one of the most important movements for the shoulder blade is this capacity to move and roll around with the arm. I'm exaggerating a little bit here so you can see. And this is a offering for the chest and the shoulders and the support in the back, for the shoulder blades, for the arms, for the opening of the chest, and indeed for the head as well. And this capacity of my shoulder blades to be free also helps to stimulate my capacity to find the ground and find the anchoring in my heels. So it's really a whole body exercise. So I'm just coordinating my sit bones to go back so that I'm sitting on the triangle of my pelvic floor bones, so pubic bone at the front, sit bones at the back, and I'm sitting so if the feeling is just in front of the sit bones. The positioning of the hands on the wall is really quite flexible for comfort. It is a little bit of a bend in the wrist, so you can have your hands higher or wider if you need to. It doesn't have to be in an exact kind of exactly in front of the shoulders position. It can really be the way, and for many of us we're tied in here from the computer, and we're tied in here from the computer, and we're tied up here. So we'll be as gentle and as accommodating as possible. So just like in the previous exercise, which I'll link to in the blog text if you haven't seen it already, we begin with the receiving of sensation. So I'm hoping you're doing this with me now. And just play around if you need to. Now you're here to find your ease. Imagine that your elbows are dripping weight, like kind of icicles, dripping weight down in your elbows. So your arms are working as little as possible. And I'm just touching the wall in little kind of palpitations under the knuckles of my fingers. Little almost fluid, little kind of sea creature, little waves if I can, to start to awaken that sensory capacity, reawaken. And another image that I love is to imagine the flesh of my hands being touched by the flesh of the wall. And then I notice when I do that, I feel a little widening in this, like a little portal in the wrist to receiving the sensation all the way up. And if it's not happening, no problem. Just pretend a little. It's still meaningful in our brain when we are imagining it and not feeling it yet. So imagine that the flesh of the wall is feeding up the backs of each arm, allowing the underarms to support the weight of the arms. And then you can sense from your fingers to back here. Don't worry whether you know what the structures are back here, but we're sensing like the fingers on this hand talking to this hand. This often it's all just one big rock. So just notice the weight arrive a little bit more in my seat as I'm doing this. So we're helping to get like dexterity in this tissue, dexterity in ribs, in shoulder blade. And now bring some attention to your verticality between your head, spine, tail at the back. And I'm just waving a little bit like a piece of seaweed. That's great. And I just notice when I do that, my toes, the flesh of under my toes starting to awaken. And I can feel from my toes the verticality in the front of my body in the fleshy parts, so through the organs, the gut body, all the way into the face. And now I'll keep that vertical axis and just begin to increase my awareness between my hands and my shoulder blades. All the time opening to the possibility of ease rather than effort. Sitting more in the place of non-doing than doing. And then we might just discover that a little widening shows up in the underarms. I've got a little bit more pressure in my feet now, and I'm just noticing my pubic bone needing to get a little heavier. A little bit of breath in the back there as the in between the shoulder blades space is opening a little back, swelling a little back. It might be a really small movement or a big movement. It really doesn't matter at this point. And I just felt my chest let go and my breath let go, which allowed a little more of that movement. I'm going to soften forward now, and please join me, which is keeping this horizontal and this vertical awareness, and then just allowing the chest to slide forward. I'm saying that like it's just such a simple thing, but it might not be. When we're tight in the front, which many of us are, this movement can be really challenging. So even if you move 1 millimeter, perfect. Now we're going back again. And I'm just checking my verticality. I feel like I just fell forward a little. Just to help me with that, now I'm noticing a little more of the space of the room, so I don't fall into the space that's just where my eyes are. Reconnecting hands, feet, verticality, and then we just see if this little miraculous movement as the arms rest on the underarms, elbows heavy. A little blooming back between the shoulder blades, just checking I don't fall forward too much. And blooming forward and back. Just landing a little more. Now I'm feeling my heels. I named them at the beginning. So the heels coordinate with this movement. So let's tune to the heels now as we notice the flesh of the heels and the blooming back. And it's kind of like rest in the unknown a little here. And it kind of happens like an automatic reaction rather than like I've got to create the movement. So I kind of wait. And something arises, I have intention behind it, but I'm not forcing it, and sometimes I just sit here and no movement happens, which is perfect. A little bit of the toes when I'm sliding forward. So we're feeling oily in between the arm and the chest. Oily in, heels, swelling back, a little bit more fingers, a little bit more pubic bone down, there we are. So I can still breathe. And I'm just preventing getting too hunched over forward, which is one way I go, and maybe you go too. And toes and forward. Don't lose the hands. And heels and back. And when I say heels, I'm still with the whole foot. It's just like an increase in the awareness in the back of the foot. And with toes, I don't lose my heels at all. I have just an increase in the awareness of the toes. So sit with me now and see how you feel. Check in with the sensations inside and the sensations outside. And what does that mean? Like my awareness of how my body is feeling, the space inside my body. So for instance, I'm feeling more space, more spacious in my chest, on the sides and the front to back. But I'm also feeling more spacious in the space around me, particularly in this moment. I'm feeling more spacious in the space in front. And it may be a very new thing and something that you've never done before, to be aware of the space. So, no matter, just bringing that possibility into our awareness, even if it doesn't feed anything yet, or maybe it does. So I invite you now, I'm just noticing from my shoulders that I'm landing into my seat a little more. Like my sit bones and my whole pelvic floor bones are catching the weight of my shoulder girdle, so all of the bone across here, bones across there. So I invite you to take a walk now and sense what you feel. And if you'd like, you could leave in the comments any experience that you had when doing the exercise. Thanks for watching.